Hello, friends. On February 1st, 2003, NASA's Columbia Space Shuttle was returning to Earth. 7 astronauts were seated in this shuttle, one of whom was very special for India. Mission Specialist Kalpana Chawla. These astronauts were returning to Earth after spending 2 weeks in space. Their families and friends were waiting for them with bated breath. This flight was special for all of them. But for NASA, it was a routine flight. Because this was the 28th flight of the Space Mission Columbia program. At 8:44 a.m., the space shuttle re-entered the Earth's atmosphere. The systems were working as expected and everything seemed normal. On the Earth, in the Space Center, was the capsule communicator Capcom Charlie Hobaugh. He was the person communicating with the space shuttle. After a few minutes, Charlie Hobaugh talked to the astronauts in the space shuttle about the readings of tire pressure. And Columbia, Houston, we see your tire pressure messages and we did not copy your last. Is it instrumentation, Max? On the other hand, Mission Commander Rick Husband was answering that suddenly the line gets cut. They only hear one word from him. Roger. Those are also off scale. And Houston, Roger, boo. Charlie Hobaugh tries to establish communication again, but there was no answer from the other side. 10 minutes pass. The attempts continued, but there was still no answer from the other side. Hobaugh, Columbia, Houston, UHF com check. Peaky NASA team in the Space Center was unaware that there was an explosion in the Columbia Space Shuttle. 8 A few minutes later, the Kennedy Space Center gets a call. Switch on the TV and watch the news. Such scenes were seen on the news. They've lost contact. We can only hope that what we're seeing is not the worst. Some people looked up at the sky and this is what they could see. As if a comet was falling to the ground. A blazing light. It broke apart into 2, and broke into more pieces. The scattered pieces of this blazing light were falling to the ground. At 9:12 a.m. in Texas, the pieces of this spaceship were falling from the sky. By then, NASA had realized that something disastrous had happened. A few hours later, President George Bush addressed the country. My fellow Americans, this day has brought terrible news and great sadness to our country. The Columbia is lost. There are no survivors. All 7 astronauts were killed and one of them was a 40-year-old Indian-born American, Kalpana Chawla. A woman whose story became an inspiration for the whole country. Let's know her story in this video. Kalpana Chawla was born on March 17, 1962 in Karnal, Haryana in a conservative family. Her parents Banarasila Chawla and Sanjyoti Chawla came to India from Pakistan during the partition. Kalpana was their 4th and youngest child. When she started going to school, she was not formally named. At home, everyone called her Mantu. When her elder sister took her to school, they asked her name. We said that we hadn't named her yet. At home, everyone called her by her nickname Mantu. So when the need arose, she chose her name herself. Kalpana, which means imagination. At that time, no one would have imagined that this young child would go on to do amazing feats in her life. Her brother Sanjay Chawla says that her struggles with society began since her childhood. I will show these boys, I am not a silly girl. Sanjay says that she was a very determined girl. Imagine the 1960s, in Haryana, even today, a male child is preferred in many places. What would have happened in those days? Kalpana Chawla was interested in space after seeing planes flying in the sky. In her childhood, she used to go to the local flying club with her father. Her parents started noticing her interest. But when she grew up, her father and her professors and teachers advised her not to pursue this profession. There was nothing for girls in this career path. Sanjay Chawla says that it was a big shock for everyone. Everyone tried to discourage her, asking her not to do it. But no one could stop Kalpana. From Punjab